What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another deck profile, and this time, it's for Prank Kids. So you have seen a few Prank Kids lists up on the channel over the past couple of weeks, 2 months. This one is a little bit different though. This is a 45 card Prank Kid Dragoon list. That's right, it's original because it has Dragoon in it. This is what I played in the YCS side events, and what I've been kind of messing around with in like online locals and stuff like that. A few of you guys noticed that I was playing this in some online videos and requested for a deck build for it. So I've decided to take the time to put it back together physically, and then we're going to go through it list by list, card by card. That's how that works. But before we get started, as always, please remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people on the channel. And let's get on into the profile. Before we do get started on this one though, it is brought to you of course by yourplaymat.com, who got us our beautiful NolanTCG extra deck sleeves. These are available on yourplaymat.com, as well as you can get custom sleeves and custom playmats, so whatever you need for the current format. There is an affiliate link in the description down below that does get you a little bit of a discount on your order. Also, enter the code NOLAN10YP for 10% off your order. Also kicks back a little bit to the channel, so everything will be very much appreciated. If you're shopping there, you're getting custom sleeves, custom playmats down. Make sure to enter our code at checkout. But let's get on into this deck profile. Okay, so starting us off, we have of course our standard Prank Kids line. So we're playing 3 copies of Lamseas, of course Burn 500 summon from deck. Then we've got 3 copies of Dropsies, again just gain 1,000 summon from deck. And then 3 copies of Fansies after that, Foolish Burial 1 summon from deck. Then for this build we are playing 2 copies of Roxies. Just because we're at 45 cards doesn't mean we're not playing, we're playing everything. I kind of figured having 15 essentially ways to get to a Prank Kid name was the best way to go. So we're thus playing just the 2 Roxies, give it's the worst one. Then another card we've decided to slim down on is 2 copies of Parallel Exceed. We're trying to fit as many hand traps in as possible. This was what I played for the side events and stuff, so I wanted to have as much varied interaction as possible. So we were just down to the 2 copies of Parallel Exceed, despite the fact that it does chain block if you do open it with a name. Then for our hand trap line, I played 3 copies of Ghost Bell, simply because I felt like it hit a lot of things in the current format. But of course, you can always change this as you're messing around with this at your locals. Then after that, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Again, you can always switch these out for whatever you feel comfortable with. Then of course, we did play the Dragoon package in the deck, so 1 copy of Dark Magician and 1 copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon are required for that. Ultimately, in this deck, you're just playing Dragoon because you want to just kind of combo off, and if your opponent stops you, you just make Dragoon. Or if you're going second, you combo off and then just make Dragoon. And a lot of rogue decks couldn't play through it, which is the reason why I decided to opt into a build like this, into something like a YCS side event. You need to win 3 games, that's all you need to win, so, you know, just kind of go with this. Every side event I played in, I made the final every time, so can't complain with the results. If only I could finally get through that final hurdle. I always run into super massive back row rogue decks and I'd be like, ah, shit. Okay, as we go through our spells though, we've got 3 copies of Prank Kids Place coming up. Again, I'm playing a Terraforming with this as well, because these count essentially as the Prank Kids names for the smaller Prank Kids, like the better Prank Kids, I guess, not Roxies. So it's always the best kind of way to go. It gives you more variance. Then we had, after that, still playing 3 copies of Pandemonium. Of course, just your fusion summon for your Prank Kids. Just be aware that you are logged into Prank Kids after this, so you can't go into Dragoon on the stuff that you summon from deck. As I knocked over a bunch of stuff to the side here, so just quickly tidy that back up. Okay, and then after that, we are just playing 1 copy of Pranks. It does help you out in the grind game, however, it's not super necessary for this build, so we are just playing, the 1 Pranks. Then we get into some more varied spell lines. You can always switch these for whatever you like in terms of hand traps. I'm playing 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets in this build, just because you want to be able to turn off a lot of your opponent's stuff. Then we've got Force Spell and Trap Removal, always want to be main decking it. So I'm playing 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone and 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Then as we get through some power one-offs, we've got 1 copy of Instant Fusion because it's just a straight extender. 1 copy of Reborn because it's an extender. And 1 copy of Called by the Grave because then it obviously gets around hand traps and stuff like that. Then for our fusion spells, plural, we're playing 1 copy of Red Eyes Fusion and 1 copy of Thunder Dragon Fusion. Of course, if you hard draw 1, you just make the other with the Verte when the time comes. Of course, if you hard open Thunder Dragon Fusion, it's very, very good because you can just shuffle back your resources and then slap down your big Regeki boy onto board. And then next turn, you just banish it out from grave, research the lightning or the thunder, and then away you go. It's always good. Why did I say lightning? That's disgusting. Then we get into our traps, though. I did play the Floodgate kind of version, so we are playing, of course, 3 copies of There Can Be Only One. Keep in mind that with the Verte and the Dragoon, if you manage to stun your opponent out from there, you can go through an access code line under There Can Be Only One. So typically you will win the game in that circumstance. If you can kind of end on the Regeki plus Dragoon and Verte, you're going to win next turn. There's no doubt about it. Then we get into the last 2 cards in the deck, because we are still 45 cards. So we got 2 copies of Prankid's Plan, just because the way I play this deck, it's kind of helps me out a fair bit. You can, of course, switch this out for other stuff. Okay, next off we have our extra deck, and of course, we are still playing 3 copies of Prankid's Meow Meow. It is your starter card, so you should probably be maxing out at 3 at this all the time. Then we get into our Link 2s, so we've got 2 copies of Do Doodle Do to search out your spell and trap cards, and 1 copy of Bow Wow Bark, of course, gives you that kind of off-turn recursion. Also, it stops your stuff from being destroyed by card effect, which is always good. Then we are still playing 1 copy of Rip Roaring Rooster, of course, Plains in the main deck at 2, so you may as well be playing the Rip Roaring Rooster. A lot of rogue decks require a lot of back row, so Rip Roaring Rooster definitely gets you around that. Definitely helped me out in my striker matchups, like, big time. Being able to go into the Rip Roaring Rooster and not having to worry about it, always good. Then our last 2 Link monsters that we're playing are 1 copy of Verte. It does get you into that Dragoon line, also can send you Thunder Dragon Fusion in your time of crisis. And then we have 1 copy of Access Code after that. Of course, you don't have a Link 3 in here, so your access code is never going to be 53, it's only going to be 43. You're typically using it off to push for game. If you need to go through like your Prankid's line to get the access code, that's fine. Or you want to go through your Verte line, then stun out with the Dragoon, then make the access code with the Verte the next turn. That's also good. That is actually probably what I would recommend, because that way you've definitely won the game. Then we get into our fusion line. We've got 1 copy of Rocket Ride for recursion on your turn. 1 copy of Weather Washer for recursion on your opponent's turn. Stops your stuff from being destroyed by battle. A very good cheese for certain times. Then after that, the 1 copy of Battle Butler. You can like honestly consider playing 2 of this, given that you've got the Thunder Dragon Fusion, but you can typically just recur it back, so there's no massive stress about that. And then lastly, the other fusion, 1 copy of Dragoon. Of course, Dragoon does good things, and you're playing the stuff for it, so it's there. And then lastly, you've got 2 copies, 2 Xyz monsters. As always, you've got 1 copy of Totally Awesome to make with your Dropsies, and then you've got 1 copy of Abyss Dweller to make with your 2 Parallel Xyz. But that wraps up here for the deck profile for this one. So as always, if you do have any recommendations or things you would change, make sure to comment them down below. Do check out Pack's list on Pack's channel. I'm sure if you're watching this, you already know about that. He did win North American YCS playing Prankids. So do definitely head over there, check out that list, because it is a very good list. Very interesting as well. A lot of choices that I don't necessarily consider in modern Prankids that he's considered, and they 100% worked for him. So I would 100% recommend going over there, checking it out, and, you know, messing around with some of the ideas that he has. But as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.